Part 17. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 161. In the maze, the exposed crystals shone with purple light. In the undulating and interlaced passages, the dark elves were fully armed and looked around. Master Zhu Qingtian, are you telling the truth? Are there really epic treasures in Dusk Hill? The delicate female priestess gently brushed Zhu Qingtian's chest with her slender fingers and asked with a dazed look. Her chest kept rising and falling, and her cheeks flushed, which made Zhu Qingtian full of pride. In the Black Bear Gang, he was known as the invincible golden gun, so he also cared about this kind of thing in the virtual world. Gently pinching the priestess's perky buttocks, he blew into her ears and said, "Of course, the Lord of Dusk Village is not in harmony with me, how could I lie to you?" The priestess was relieved and slowly pressed against his body. There was a strong spring in her eyebrows. This moving look made him unbearable. Just when he wanted to hug her and love her well, who knew that a sudden faint light flashed, and a sharp blade taken out from nowhere pierced his body. Swish! A big number of 2,300 plus 120 points of fast-acting poison per second for 75 seconds. Zhu Qingtian's face turned pale green, and he tried to grab the priestess crookedly, but was dragged by several summoned black spiders and could not move. "You, Marnify, how could you betray me?" The face of the woman in front of him became cold as ice, pointing at him and shouting, "Fool! As a dark elf, you must always be on guard against surprise attacks from behind. Haha, I wanted you to be my male lover, but unfortunately you let me down. How can I not kill you?" After the priestess finished chanting the spell, the black spiders of the height of 2 people dragged him to the nest, where he would face a terrifying test of life and death. Zhu Qingtian thought that he could trust this level 110 boss when he reached that level, but who knew that the dark elf didn't care about such things at all, and in the end he was betrayed and even the character died. Not only that, his character was not killed instantly. His body would be wrapped in corrosive spider silk and slowly turned into pus. This process would last for several hours, accompanied by a slight pain simulated by the system, as if he had fallen into hell. In the few hours when Mist Erlin directed the inferior demons to work, a large number of dark elves finally appeared in the territory. They numbered about 200 and were very sudden. They took the lives of hundreds of people in just a few minutes and moved towards the warehouse where precious items were stored. But Miss Xiao was not in a hurry. She quickly drove the army of the territory to organize a counterattack, because she had long known that the purpose of the dark elves to go to the underground floor was to plunder treasures, so the guards of the warehouse were particularly strong. Here, Miss Xiao used an ambush tactic, and placed a large number of troops in the rooms around the warehouse. They swarmed out at the moment the warehouse was attacked and surrounded these daring dark elves. But the dark elves are all elites, including the level 45 Shadow Singer, the level 65 Dark Ranger, and the level 70 Conspiracy Executor. The level 45 Shadow Singer has 7,000 health and 800 attack, and the level 70 Conspiracy Executor has 40,000 health and 2,600 attack. In other words, they are facing a group of boss, and the group control ability is very important at this time. The elite has boss attributes but no boss AI. As long as they are controlled, they can be killed like ordinary units. At this time, Catherine's control ability comes into play. As long as she gains more than 10 seconds, she can reduce the casualties of dozens of units. She used another scroll and swallowed all the dark elves. However, the casualties were still very heavy. Fortunately, they were distributed to nearby players, so that the loss of Dusk Village was only more than 50 people. After this wave of dark elves was eliminated, most players received a reward of 500,000 experience. At this time, intelligence from afar showed that several major alliances around were also drifting in the attack of the Dark Elves, so Miss Xiao made a prompt decision and launched a large-scale attack. The Sicilian Alliance is the closest alliance to the Northern Alliance. It has been developing gradually in the past. Unfortunately, they were targeted by the Northern Alliance this time and there is no hope of survival. This place was what Shen Xian and Miss Xiao agreed to seize. It is a rich place with a mineral density twice as high as that in the fiefdom. Although it is not as large as the giant mithril mine that was recently robbed, it is the premise for stable development. When the army attacked, Shen Xian's caravan was well prepared to continue moving south. First, it had to pass through a demon-ridden area of dozens of kilometers, and then enter the area of the Silent Wasteland. Then, it took 3 hours to reach the largest neutral town in the Silent Wasteland, the Black Iron Town with a population of 30,000 and 5,000 troops stationed. At first, Shen Xian thought there would be no danger on the road because he brought nearly 100 troops, composed of the Terror Knights under Luna, and they were extraordinary. But he soon discovered that anything could happen in such a place. Less than half an hour after entering the wasteland, a bandit group composed of dozens of ogres appeared and blocked them. Put down the money. The ogre's language was incomprehensible to anyone, so the system translated it into such a fragmented sentence, which surprised Shen Xian for a while. Can such a small number of people really rob us? Or do they have reinforcements? Shen Xian stretched his neck while riding on his horse to figure out the situation, but he didn't find anything unusual after looking for a long time. In fact, contrary to his imagination, the ogre bandits did not have reinforcements. These low-minded ogres wanted to rob people on the road with only these ogres of the lowest level 30 and the highest level 60. So, Shen Xian fainted and rushed over with Fulay. A level 30 ogre had 2,500 HP, and a level 60 ogre had only 15,000 HP. Under the siege of a large number of knights, they instantly became a mess. After driving away the bandits, the caravan continued to move forward. After encountering several waves of bandits, the Black Iron Town in the distance was already visible. Just as they were about to take a look around, they heard the sound of weapons clashing not far away. Wondering why there were bandits in such a place, Shen Xian drove the caravan to take a detour. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 162. Brother, do we really need to take a detour? Fulay asked in a low voice, and got a positive answer. The caravan and the guards retreated to one side, and at this time, several ogres not far away were depressed. Why did the Lord leave? If I can help, I can pay him 100,000 US$ as a token of gratitude. Yes, how can he take a detour? He needs to run away with his strength. Several strong ogres quarreled. They were all above level 55 without exception, carrying large packages, at least hundreds of units of goods. The strangest one with 2 heads was called New York Soldier, level 65, 11th in the player category on the level ranking list, and also the 279th adventurer player in WTP. He was one of the few people who knew the Lord. Just when he wanted to ask for help, the Dark Elves not far away suddenly took action and quickly surrounded the Lord's team, with the intention of swallowing them all together. Seeing these Dark Elves attacking from a distance, even Shen Xian felt that anything could happen in the Silent Wasteland. What's going on? You won't let us escape. Brother, why don't you fight them? They are Dark Elves from underground. Fulay rubbed her hands and was eager to try. These Dark Elves who came here are indeed quite powerful. Judging from their clothing, they are the 7th family of Blood Moon City. They are not afraid of leaving evidence, because even the 7th family has terrifying power. Charge! This team of 100 terrifying knights attacked collectively under the command of Mr. Fang. Dark Elves are not suitable for regular battles. Fighting with cavalry in such a wide area is a dead end. Snap! 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 The black blade cut through the black skin, and the two armies entangled together, and the road suddenly became a battlefield. Mr. Fang rushed the fastest. As a commander, he had the obligation to charge. Shen Xian followed closely behind. The scale of this battle was not large. Even if he was surrounded, he was not afraid of death. He had a lot of experience in group battles, so he could not miss this opportunity. The New York soldier laughed strangely. These dark elves actually went to provoke the Lord. 5 bloody ogres just survived the bloody battle and immediately fought back. The dark elf commander Rodina was fighting inexplicably. To her surprise, an army that could fight against the 7th family appeared here. It was not until she carefully identified that this mysterious army was a subordinate of the Black Blade Knights from the skills and equipment of these troops that she became worried. Why did this damn army appear at this time? She cursed with the most vicious words, while leading the army to retreat and continue fighting. Joke. There is such a saying among the dark elves by a blind high priest: it is better to live than to die in battle. How could Rodina die here? It has to be said that no one can stop the dark elves from retreating. Just as Shen Xian saw that something was wrong and wanted to let Mr. Fang organize an encirclement, these cunning enemies left a few corpses and disappeared. Damn it, Fulay was unwilling. At this time, the New York soldier ran over with his adventure team. He said to him, "Lord, how are you?" "Who are you?" Shen Xian was confused by being called. At least there was nothing serious. These dark elves were asking for trouble, so he had neither good feelings nor bad feelings towards these ogres. The New York soldier was stunned. How could the Lord not know him? That we are that kind of relationship. The New York soldier was very cold. Could it be that the Lord was joking? How could he joke like this? The Chinese way of humor is really special. Shen Xian also looked at him, wondering, does he really know him? It's like this: I'm 6-5. Shen Xian read this paragraph, and his brain finally reacted. I heard that there were several new members among the managers recently, who were well trained and comprehensive. Could it be him? Thinking of this, he didn't say it out loud. Of course, this kind of thing couldn't be made public, so he nodded. I remember, you are my American friend. Yes, I said that the Lord knew me. The New York soldier also shouted, wanting to prove himself. Now the remaining game masters believed it and were grateful to Shen Xian. If it weren't for you, our hope would have been taken away by those dark elves. Yes, our ogre house suffered such bad news just after it was established. This is composed of 5 of the 10 highest level ogres in the world. They grumbled, and soon Shen Xian stopped them, and continued to move forward with them. It took another 15 minutes to reach Black Iron Town. From the architectural style, it can be seen that Black Iron Town is a dwarf town. The outer wall is cast with rocks and metals using the unique technology of the dwarves. It has excellent defense. The buildings inside are not gorgeous, but they exude a sense of grandeur. The buildings are distributed around the high and low rock walls and are neatly stacked. Black Iron Town is the lowest trade tax in the Silent Wasteland. When you first arrive here, you must follow the local customs. Therefore, you paid a considerable amount of money and entered the town. What about them? Several level 50 dwarf axe fighters pointed at the ogre and asked. We are not with them. The New York soldiers hurriedly opened the package for them to inspect and pay the gold. They were cautious when they opened it, not wanting too many people to see it, but Shen Xian still saw a bag of equipment, scrolls, and luxury goods, thinking that these guys might have robbed some big merchants, otherwise how could there be so many good things? After entering the town, they parted ways. Because of their identities, they were not suitable for frequent conversations. After adding friends, Shen Xian rented a room in the hotel first, asked Mr. Fang to look after the goods, and rushed to the exchange with Fulay without stopping. The exchange is an institution responsible for large transactions, and it is full of passing merchants. Most of those who can get here have survived many dangers and have been chased and intercepted by countless robbers, so the price of goods is high. Food 5,120 gold/10,000 units, leather 14,200 gold/10,000 units, linen 21,900 gold/10,000 units. Reading the quotation, Shen Xian compared the quotation with the goods to be sold, thinking that this route is indeed lucrative and full of risks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 163. But Shen Xian knew that this quote was just the lowest price. This extremely risky business was always profitable, and a 300% profit was enough to make people risk their lives. Otherwise, why would there be so many businessmen flocking to it? Selling these goods to the exchange is the most uneconomical approach. The profit after deducting losses is not high. For him, finding a suitable merchant is the most cost-effective way. He searched around along the roads, hoping to find local forces strong enough to eat the goods. Fleur went to some high-end shops alone to find repair materials. For someone like her who controlled half of the fire elemental plane, for the queen who controls thousands of fire elements, although the gate of elements is a human relic, it still has the value of repairing it. But what makes Shen Xian strange is that the dwarf shops he visited either apologized and refused, or closed their doors, and were not very enthusiastic about being an agent. This gave him an uncertain guess, which made him feel uneasy. Black Iron Town is not a very big town, especially the big shops are all gathered together, so when Shen Xian returned, he happened to meet a New York soldier. "What are you doing, Lord?" Because of the special relationship between the two, the New York soldier was very enthusiastic. "Are you looking for a bar with special services?" He walked up to Shen Xian and patted him heavily on the shoulder. "Men, it's not like they can't vent their desires in the virtual world, but how can they compare with real women?" "Actually, I just want to rest," Shen Xian said expressionlessly. The New York soldier said awkwardly, "That's right, haha. We just completed the mission. Let's go back to the hotel together." "Is it the Carbon Black Hotel?" Shen Xian nodded. He laughed, "Great, let's go. I heard that you built Dusk Village. How about visiting some other time?" Shen Xian agreed. "You need to rest after a long journey. The Carbon Black Hotel also has a special room for ogres. It is very spacious and simple, but it costs 10 gold per day." At this time the Terror Knights were all relaxing nearby. Arenas, casinos, bars, and restaurants are all good places for entertainment. If that's not possible, you can just lie in your hotel room and browse the forum. They were chatting on the road, followed by several ogre players. They probably knew that these two were top players, so they stopped talking nonsense and occasionally used private messages to talk a few words. "You said the dwarves here are not very friendly," the New York soldier asked. "Yes. Besides, the natural friendship level between humans and dwarves is 60. This shouldn't happen. When I asked you this question, I found the right person." The New York soldier suddenly became interested. "What do you think of this shield?" "Titan body, the world's 231st epic piece of equipment, defense power 255, defense enhancement 50%, damage saving throw 10, with divine body talent. This was repaired by the dwarf forging master. There must be something wrong with the dwarves being biased against you. Could it be that you have provoked some forces? After all, lords are different from adventurers. Adventurers can just walk away, but lords cannot. I think it's Count Skillman. The rise of Twilight Village will definitely affect his interests, but I don't know how powerful he is in Black Iron Town. Logically speaking, this human lord will not have such a big power in Black Iron Town. What you say makes sense, but if you read the history of Black Iron Town, you will know that this town was built on the corpses of countless dwarves. Hundreds of years ago, This was a weak but united dwarf village, but Silman the Count's ancestors came here with their troops and told them, "Those who follow me will prosper, and those who go against me will perish." What? You said the game character can't speak classical Chinese? That's what it means anyway, don't worry about it so much. So he slaughtered hundreds of dwarves and established his iron-blooded regime. After hearing what he said, Shen Xian groaned secretly. He didn't expect that Silman's influence in this area was so great. It would be even more difficult to break into this market. When it comes to whether life or money is more important, most people will still choose life, so dwarves cannot risk execution for an outsider. In the final analysis, his strength is still too weak, and compared with these nobles who have been established for hundreds of years, his foundation is too weak to shake the rule here. When Shen Xian was looking for a solution, several terrifying knights suddenly ran in. "What did you say?" Fleur was surrounded. He suddenly stood up. The horror knight hurriedly told what happened. It turned out that Fleur accidentally encountered some precious goods in a store, and a conflict occurred. Fleur was not afraid of death. Her avatar could be restored even if it died, so she killed her immediately. Several people attracted the patrol guards of Black Iron Town. Originally, the patrol guards were supposed to help Fleur, but the fact is that they took Fleur away indifferently. Fleur is very strong, but even a level 60 hero is not omnipotent, so she is currently in crisis. "I'll go with you," the New York soldier patted his chest and promised. After hearing this, as the saying goes, brothers working together are more powerful than gold. "Lord, why are you and I joining forces to be afraid of him in Black Iron Town? How can the forces of Silent Wasteland want to break into Dusk Hills? We have passed the challenge level, now it is important to save people." "Okay, let's go." Shen Xian knew that he had good intentions. As an adventurer, simply put, he has nothing to do, so he likes to fight PK the most. 100 terrifying knights are also a considerable force. If they make a scene, at least they will be able to do it. Let them know that the Lord of Dusk Village is not a soft persimmon. "Let's go too," several ogres shouted. It was rare to see a contest between masters. It would definitely improve their gaming skills. Fang Gongzi and Yunmen gathered the Terror Knights and were ready to go at any time. They were also fully prepared for all kinds of buffs. Fulei was in danger, but she would not be killed instantly. It would take a while to fight for 100,000 lives. Shen Xian was worried but not nervous. Black Iron Town seemed to be shrouded in a dark cloud. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 164. Walking along the elevator into Fengshao Street in Black Iron Town, you will see a chaotic world in front of you. Burning fires and densely packed troops are intertwined, forming a hellish scene. Mr. Fang sent several terrifying knights who specialized in applying buffs into the house. In such a chaos, no one would care about breaking into a private house. As for Shen Xian, he led a few knights and approached the center of the battlefield. But he still didn't see Fleur. According to his estimation, maybe she was wandering around looking for trouble. However, Fleur's identity was registered clearly, and Shen Xian could not be separated from it no matter what, so when he got close, the dwarf set his sights on this large army. "Stop!" The earthly dragon knight holding a hammer weighing dozens of kilograms stood in front of him. After a while, an older dwarf named Muka came out. "Are you the lord?" he asked with an unkind expression. "Black Iron Town does not welcome a lord like you. This is not your fief, and you can do whatever you want. I don't know what you want to do. If you help us arrest the criminal, maybe if you can win the friendship of the dwarves, we will have to expel you." Shen Xian looked at Muka's vicious and twisted face and said, "I don't know who sent you, but as a knight, do you think you are qualified to threaten a viscount?" Muka's face flushed with anger and he said in a low voice, "Remember, this is Black Iron Town. If you do anything random here, Someone will be watching. I don't mind doing some rude things and telling people I don't want to see to get out. But your expression tells me that the troops in Black Iron Town are still gathering. It seems that you are not ready to take action. Unfortunately, I am ready. I want to take you away, so get out of the way. The moment he finished speaking, Mr. Fang took action. A bunch of fallen demons summoned by dozens of terrifying knights trapped the dwarf and then rushed in. I'm here, Fleur shouted when she saw Shen Xian's appearance, and rushed out from the depths of the street. Behind him were 7 or 8 level 70 dwarf axe fighters. Their bodies were charred and miserable. However, these level 70 units also had 30,000 lives and did not suffer much damage. You are challenging the authority of Black Iron Town. Muka was furious when he saw Shen Xian's refusal. He is the deputy mayor of Black Iron Town. This is his territory. How can he allow people to yell at him here? Shouted, and took out 2 soul-shattering war hammers, and blasted at Shen Xian angrily. The level 70 elite dealt a full 1,500 damage in one attack, knocking Shen Xian back a few steps. However, he was invaded by evil spiritual energy and made constant mistakes in subsequent attacks. He relied on his crazy attacks to cause a little damage to Shen Xian. The dwarf army seemed to have a large number of people, and it did not last long under the siege of the terrifying knights. The howling horn sounded, and all these dozens of dwarves were beaten to red blood in the face of the strong force. It seems that the strength of Black Iron Town is not very strong, just because these people want to capture my people, Shen Xian said with a smile, and with another precise suppression, the sword bypassed the war hammer and stabbed towards Muka. After hearing these words, Fleur's heart became hot. She slowly recited the incantation and summoned the fire element warriors with level 7 magic. 4 or 5 people tall fire elements entered the formation through the space door, and Shen Xian followed. Quietly ask Mr. Fang to gather the team. At this time, there was the sound of heavy footsteps marching forward, and a group of dwarf soldiers who were fully armed and could not even see their eyes walked out of the flames. Muka laughed. He had known that these troops were coming, but when they did come, these were clan guards with a resistance of up to 40% of elemental magic. They had no weaknesses except that they moved slower. As long as they surrounded them, they would not be able to escape even if they were given a pair of wings. He shouted, "Surround them quickly, they are going to escape." All the dwarf soldiers immediately turned their murderous eyes to Shen Xian. "We are not afraid of death. Destroy the enemies in Black Iron Town." The rumbling shouts made people's eardrums burst. Shen Xian looked at this powerful army and his face changed slightly, but agreeing with it does not mean admitting defeat. He said, "I don't want to escape yet." "What are you worried about?" He didn't finish. He calmly gave Muka a fatal blow. Click. The sword happened to be swung when Muka was half healthy, and there was a clear sound of fracture. Muka felt as if his body was about to fall apart. He fell limply to the ground, and the warhammer dropped with a bang. The last huge explosion that hit damage number 1400 jumped out, and it was only then that Shen Xian stepped back. Avenge Muka. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. The brave dwarf warriors rushed forward resolutely, regardless of right or wrong. However, they did not move fast and Shen Xian left first. "Are you okay?" Shen Xian opened Fleur's status bar and found that 100,000 lives were left at 40,000. He couldn't tell anything from his expression, but he knew that if he came a step too late, an accident would happen. Who knows? What did man do? He actually wanted to attack Fleur. However, they never imagined until their death that Fleur's strength far exceeded their estimate. Fleur's identity can only be seen by units over level 100, so in normal times, people would only think of her as a harmless little girl. However, it is impossible to forgive them just because of this. This is a world of the weak and the strong. The strong can bully the weak, but there are not many people who can bully Shen Xian. Whether it is Dao Qinchengu or the bridal chamber leader, these former opponents have paid the price, and these people will be their role models. With a smile on her face, Fleur said, "Of course not. Brother, don't you think there is anything you haven't taken with you?" Shen Xian slapped his head, "I really didn't take some goods with me." "Forget it. Throw it away. I guess there are a large number of troops ambushing there," Fulay advised. "It's not peaceful here. Minus the 2,000 troops stationed in the military camp a few kilometers outside the town, the 500 troops chasing us, and 500 troops waiting for us at each of the 4 city gates. Go out first. Do you still have to worry about not being able to come back?" She smiled sweetly, and Shen Xian felt cold. He felt that this smile contained too much meaning, and asked, "Do you want to send out your real body?" She shook her head quickly. "How could it be? The fire element plane can't be without me. If the real body is exposed, there may be a sneak attack by the gods. How can you do such a thing? You will avenge me, Lord." She said this and ran to the elevator. The elevator connects the upper and lower levels, and the drop can reach 50 meters. Free fall will at least hurt 5,000 lives, so destroying this place can temporarily block traffic. Dozens of terror knights used the elevator to descend to the lower level, and then quickly destroyed it. Then, led by Master Fang, they rushed towards the city gate, where they were greeted by another test. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 165. Arriving at the city gate in 2 minutes, the city gate was indeed closed, and 500 dwarf warriors were heavily guarded. For a big town like Black Iron Town, news was transmitted very quickly. Faced with such a situation, Shen Xian stopped, because according to the data, the lowest life of the city gate of each major race is 15,000. If you rush out at this time, you will definitely be restrained by the army, and there will inevitably be casualties, so you must prepare first adequate. He had less than 5 minutes left. Within 5 minutes, the troops trapped on the upper level would come down by another elevator. He had to hurry up, otherwise he would be surrounded by 2 sides. An idea suddenly flashed into his mind. This idea could be said to be an inspiration, because he felt a little unhappy about leaving like this, and he had to teach Black Iron Town an unforgettable lesson. Thinking that a minute had passed, the people around were a little anxious. If they took one step too late, there would be more casualties. They were not afraid of death, but they did not want to make unnecessary sacrifices. "Have you thought of any way to take revenge?" Mr. Fang asked. "Yes, but the Terror Knights must cooperate." "That's no problem," he agreed. So in the next 3 minutes, this group of 100 terrifying knights suddenly dispersed and scattered throughout the town. During this period, they were in a safe state. Although they were wearing suits, they did not have the unique badge of the Knights of the Ebon Blade. These dwarves were difficult to identify for a while, but Shen Xian was different. His image must be known to the majority of dwarves, unlike the Terror Knights. Acting together definitely makes a difference. Next, the dwarves in charge of the investigation realized something was wrong. Their vision was not as good as that of the Dark Elves, and their AI was not as high as that of humans. They just chased Shen Xian and quickly forgot about this group of terrifying knights. Town center. Muka, who was half dead in pain, groaned and asked, "You said the Lord moved his army away. What's going on? Maybe he didn't want to lose him along with his army. Perhaps the Lord has gone mad. How is it possible? Do you think the Lord would do such a thing?" Muka asked, knowing that the Lord would not be so easy to get rid of. He originally only wanted to arrest someone, but who expected that there would be such a big fuss? "I don't know if this will happen." The Earl was angry, and he closed his eyes slightly in thought. Dwarves are not good at intrigues and cannot predict Shen Xian's actions, but Muka knows one thing: as long as Black Iron Town is firmly sealed, it will be useless even if the Lord wants to play tricks. Thinking of this, he felt severe pain in his chest again. Shen Xian's fatal blow just now gave him a perverted negative effect, serious injury, reducing the upper limit of life by 20%, reducing the life recovery speed by 3, movement speed by 15%, and reaction speed by 15%, so Muka is full of hatred for Shen Xian. He patted the stone table hard and shouted, "Please come up with a plan quickly, I don't want the Lord to escape from here." The surrounding dwarves immediately started arguing. Some said that they would send troops outside the city, and some said that they would conduct a large-scale search. However, no one obeyed the other, and after a long time, they could not come up with a plan. The situation suddenly changed. A dwarf covered in blood rushed into the gate. Seeing that the level 72nd level clan guard was beaten like this, Muka hurriedly asked, "What happened?" The dwarf replied, "Men, those terrible knights of the Lord." Upon hearing the news, the dwarf elders shouted, "We must protect our home. We must not let the lords pollute this place." But the double-minded Muka stopped them, "Shut up. There are only 50 guards in the center of the town. What kind of guards are there? We dwarves are naturally slow to move. If we are caught by them, we will all die. Everyone is in Black Iron Town, how can there be any accident because of this little thing?" After Muka's persuasion, the enthusiastic dwarves could only follow him, but as soon as he walked out of the door, a group of dozens of terrifying knights poured in. The terror knight moved quickly and moved 30% faster than the dwarves. Soon he ran to the front, and there were many temporarily summoned devils, making the hall jammed. At first, Muka looked panicked, worried that he would suffer bad luck, but when he saw that the Lord did not appear, he became confident again. "Don't you know what your actions represent? Rebellion. As the Knights of the Ebon Blade in Desolate City, we should not stand on the side of justice, but do this kind of thing." Mr. Fang responded strangely, "Your words make me laugh. I only believe my own eyes. The rebellion is not decided by you, Lord Muka." "What do you want to do?" Muka asked when he saw that the situation was not good. "It's nothing. I want you to come with us. Don't you believe me?" Even if he is an enemy, Mr. Fang's effect of improving the NPC's favorability will still have an effect, so when he was isolated and helpless, Muka looked at his severely injured body and said, "Okay, he didn't want to die." The other parties, the words were so unquestionable that he agreed. "Everyone, get out of the way." The guard who heard Muka's voice stood aside. If he had been more responsive at the command, he could have escaped. Unfortunately, because of the special effects of the epic items, he could not. But he found that these terrifying knights were not in a hurry to leave. They were rummaging through the boxes and cabinets looking for something. He was so angry that he vomited blood. "What are you doing? Find something." It has to be said that asking a group of fallen demons to find things is quite efficient. Demons have insight into the minds of creatures, so they easily found 11 skill books, 5 architectural drawings, and 7 production drawings. Looking at the spoils that seemed to be deliberately placed in front of him for demonstration, Muka almost fainted. "Are you robbers or bandits? How can you do this? Black Iron Town will definitely remember you." But no one responded to him, as if he didn't exist. Walking out of the town center, he found several gates blocked by several huge ogres, which means that even if he escaped from the Terror Knight, it would be difficult to leave safely from the ogres. This time Muka really gave up. Next, he quickly evacuated the town center, relying on Muka as a hostage, and threatened him to exchange the goods he brought for gold, and then Shen Xian appeared. "Haha, how is it? After exchanging 500,000 gold, we emptied their warehouse. Fortunately, I brought all the most garbage goods in the territory, otherwise Black Iron Town would probably go bankrupt." Muka roared in fear again, "What else do you want to do? Is it not enough?" "No, we just want to take Deputy Mayor Muka to visit Talango." Shen Xian looked kind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 166. Dusk Village. Because there were no goods, it was much faster to return to Dusk Village from Black Iron Town. When returning, it was just the gap between the Dark Elves' attacks. Just a few days ago, Miss Yao's reasonable arrangement made the Dark Elves retreat to the Dark Passage without taking any advantage, stabilizing the situation. At the same time, the Sicily Alliance was annexed, and the number of fiefdoms reached 122, which also brought peace to this place. When two powers fight, both sides will inevitably suffer losses. According to statistics, although the Dark Elves with a strong desire for revenge temporarily retreated, they also brought economic losses and casualties here. 1,000 troops were killed, 4,000 civilians were slaughtered, and the gold loss was more than 300,000. This is a bad result. It is worth celebrating that under the temptation of the Broken Void, many families from Blood Moon City shifted their attention to other regions and left here. There are still 3,000 Dark Elves entrenched in Dusk Hills, a considerable number. Fortunately, the Dark Elves never play the game of destroying both sides, so there is no need to worry about the territory being attacked by suicide. After Shen Xian returns, he will invest the 500,000 gold he took away from Black Iron Town, which will restore the liquidity that was originally stretched to a point, and resume trade, making a lot of money during this period. Because of the preparations for upgrading the town center, the Dark Elves are still in the charge of Miss Xiao. Shen Xian takes Miss Ellen to run around in order to upgrade the town center as soon as possible so that the territory can be unbreakable. The first item is population 2000, the second item is satisfaction 60, and the third item is prosperity 20, which depends on trade. The trade within the territory can be divided into two parts. The low end comes from shops and markets opened near the territory, and the high end comes from Fulay's black market. The sum of these two parts is roughly 100,000 gold trade. The external part is also divided into two parts, Zushan Fortress and Tailinger. Because the goal of opening up the market in Silent Wasteland had problems, it had to be put aside. The total trade volume of these two transactions was nearly 600,000. However, in Tailinger, Shen Xian had to find ways to open up the trade route here so as not to waste space. When Shen Xian was thinking about Prosperity 20, Civilization 20 was reached inadvertently. It was a bit unexpected, but the data from Miss Ellen showed that there was no problem. According to the setting, civilization is divided into three parts. The first part is education, relying on libraries and forums to popularize some basic knowledge, such as dark history, basic protection, financial management, etc. These can slightly improve the level of residence, AI, and satisfaction, and require the construction of related buildings. Shen Xian did this. In addition, because the territory cooperated with the Desolate City to build a college and recruit wizard apprentices, this also improved the civilization of the territory. Another aspect of civilization is technology. The higher the level and quantity of technology, the higher the civilization. Territories with 5, 10, 20, and 30 can increase civilization by 1, 2, 3, and 4 points at most. The highest technology level of 3, 4, and 5 can increase civilization by 1, 2, and 3 points at most. The specific calculation formula is a complex list that needs to consider various factors, and Shen Xian cannot calculate it specifically. However, Shen Xian has always been generous in the technological research of the territory, giving researchers such as Nikas and Mist Erlin hundreds of thousands of gold for research. Therefore, the territory currently has more than 30 technologies and one technology with the highest level of 5. The last aspect is more vague, related to the number of races and the size of the fiefdom, and is more difficult to calculate than the first two. Shen Xian also learned from Miss Yao that since the territory expanded to 122 blocks, the civilization has increased by 1. Civilization 20 is satisfied, and the Miracle 20 and Prosperity 20 born have targets to choose from. Prosperity 20 is a slow project. As long as the territory has been earning a lot of gold through trade, and as long as the upgrade rate of the territory's upgradable buildings, such as houses and roads, meets certain requirements, it will definitely increase. The speed of this improvement is 1./day, and it will increase as long as the conditions are met. The actual improvement rate is 0.1 which means that the territory's trade and construction cannot keep up with the growth of prosperity and need to find another way. As for miracles, this refers to a building that is symbolic to the territory, such as a large temple, a palace, etc. It takes hundreds of hours to build a building of great significance. Once it is completed, it will increase miracles. In the third stage, the requirements of kingdom are not high. There is no need to build temples and mausoleums that cost millions of resources and tens of millions of gold. The territory has only two options. The first is the black market that Frey is responsible for. This project has accumulated 500,000 resources and 100,000 gold, which is of great commercial significance to the territory. The second is the underground maze that Miss Lin is responsible for. It has accumulated 600,000 resources and 50,000 gold, which plays a full-scale protection role in the defense of the territory. The completion of these two projects can increase miracles by 21 points, which just meets the conditions. So Shen Xian turned his goal back to trade, focusing on developing trade volume in various places and trying to make the territory a commercial city. He invested hundreds of thousands of RMB in the game from reality, and Dusk Village entered a stage of recuperation. During this period, the harassment of the Dark Elves was relatively low-key. Perhaps they realized that the underground maze above their heads was their nemesis, so they did not dare to act recklessly. Despite this, intelligence from some other allies showed that many players were robbed of rare items and valuable resources. Looking at the northern underground world, Dusk Hills is still the area with the most serious disasters. Miss Yao and I were preparing to sweep the Dark Elves out of the Dusk Hills, while living a comfortable life. In the past few hours, the territory has made great progress. The reason for this is that the surge in resource production in the main territory is enough to ensure uninterrupted construction. If it were not limited to space, it might be faster. Unfortunately, this kind of life is destined not to last too long. While waiting for the arrival of the Dark Elves, Shattered Void came here with a mysterious NPC, saying that he had something to discuss with them. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 167. In front of Shen Xian was a stocky dwarf with a braided beard, wearing mail armor and a short staff, dressed like a rune priest, called Burning Iron. Burning Iron is level 48, not very powerful, but it is a hidden profession in the second rank, sculptor. Sculptors are not producers, but a profession with special powers. In terms of combat effectiveness, they are more brave than the first level rune priests, because they have more powerful power than the rune priests and are as invincible as tanks on the battlefield. "Hello," he said politely when they met. It must be said that the vast majority of dwarves are hospitable. After all, Muka is a minority and cannot be generalized. Shen Xian bent down and stretched out his hand to hold him, as if he saw his intention and was in a good mood. "Let's sit down first," he invited, and the dwarf sat awkwardly on the chair. "Let me guess your reason for coming, okay. Ranty, you are from the Black Iron Clan, right? I heard that there are many dwarves from the Black Iron Clan in the Silent Wasteland. You should be one of them, and you do not represent Black Iron Town." "How did you know?" Ranty suddenly stuttered and asked, pointing his finger at Shen Xian, becoming very panicked. "The dwarf clan has its own clan emblem. When a child in the clan is born, the arm used for forging will leave a mark. It is this that gives Shen Xian an idea of its origin, and he guesses it. As for burning iron, it is definitely not the reason for Black Iron Town, mainly because Black Iron Town will not send such people here. What conspiracy can an honest person make? If they were pretending, even dwarfs with higher AI than them couldn't do this. Shen Xian would never believe that there was such a talent in Black Iron Town. I have no ill intentions, he defended hastily, as if he was worried that Shen Xian would doubt him. Isn't the enemy of my enemy my friend? That's right, Shen Xian confirmed him, but what you want to do here, I don't know. The dwarf hesitated for a moment, then said as if he was fully prepared, actually, I want to sign a trade contract with Dusk Village on behalf of Ilan Village. I know that Dusk Village will soon upgrade its town, and trade will definitely be needed to maintain development in the future, so I want to use this cooperate and purchase supplies. As expected, Shen Xian thought to himself, but he didn't know where burning iron stood and whether he had the ability to open the market in the silent wasteland for him. He pondered for a moment and said, I don't know what the situation is like in Ilan Village. If I don't know about it, I can't do anything about it. Of course I didn't ask the question. Ranti recovered from his stuttering quickly. He probably felt that the Lord was not a perverted demon king, because there were rumors that the Lord of Dusk Village was a demon who ate people without spitting out their bones. Ilan Village is located in the northwest corner of the silent wasteland. This is a place where underground lava rivers flow. As a commercial city, the location here is not the best, but there are natural furnaces here that can forge sophisticated equipment. Every year, Ilan Village 20 pieces of rare level equipment will be provided to Silent Wasteland, and even low-level epic level equipment will be released every few years, which makes Ilan Village famous in Silent Wasteland. The population of Ilan Village is 6,000, and there are about 1,000 blacksmiths with level 5 or above forging skills. The most important thing is that we are not afraid of the invasion of Black Iron Town. What's going on? Shen Xian asked curiously. Because we have the protection of Lord Hodels, the Black Dragon, and there are strong walls here to hold on to, and we don't have to worry about food, so Councilman has never breached this place. Speaking of this, he smiled innocently and proudly, which made Shen Xian feel very friendly. Judging from Burning Iron's words, apart from the shortcoming that Ilan Village is not suitable as a commercial city, the rest is very suitable for him. How can he open up the market in the silent wasteland? The answer is to support a local force. This force must be able to protect itself and have enough reputation so that it can sell goods secretly. Burning Iron has lived for hundreds of years and knows more about the silent wasteland than a player like New York Soldier. Through his mouth, Shen Xian understands the trade barriers that currently exist in the silent wasteland to prevent external forces from entering, such as the heavy trade taxes and injustices that may appear at any time will deter forces interested in occupying the silent wasteland. However, if you want to support the growth of Ilan Village, you must pay a sufficient price. Unlike Zushan and Talange, this is not an equal trade, but a strategic investment. It is difficult to be discovered relying on local forces. This investment will have huge benefits. Return. Things became much more difficult when we got deeper into the specific issues. Shen Xian took Burning Iron to go around Dusk Village. At this time, Miracle reached 18, Prosperity reached 17, and the town center was only one step away from being upgraded. After finishing the walk, about 10 minutes later, Shen Xian's thinking became more mature, so he summoned Nikaz, Mist Aaron, and Fleur to help negotiate. In a room, Burning Iron reported the goods needed by Ilan Village, including food, tools, magic materials, etc., all of which sold well in the Silent Wasteland. The Silent Wasteland is a barren and backward place. The only advantage here is that there are many people and the gold production is very high. This is a figure accumulated by the population. Roughly speaking, the area of Silent Wasteland is 4 times that of Twilight Hills, and the population is 6 times that of Twilight Hills. Just like the original idea of foreign-funded companies entering the Chinese market, if everyone in Silent Wasteland eats the food provided by Twilight Hills, even if one, how much gold can you earn if you only earn 1 gold for a meal? The rough answer is 550,000. From this figure, we can see what kind of return there will be from developing a market in the Silent Wasteland. After discussions between Nikas, Mist Erlin, and Frey, many of the stockpiled materials in the territory were listed as alternative materials for sale. The prices of these things may not be very high, but as long as there is profit and a market, these small matters do not matter. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 168. At each stage of the territory, there will always be some surplus materials that are difficult to digest internally, which is the reason for trade. For example, refined gold. This mineral has a high melting point and is difficult to use on a large scale, but the village of Ilan, which has an underground furnace, does not have this problem. Similar things include magic scrolls, potions, etc. Here in Frey, flaming crystals and fire crystal ore are the most common resources in the plane of fire elements. For a village like Ilan with low demand, they can be easily provided. These materials for making advanced equipment have unimaginable prices and will account for more than 1/3 of the trade volume. So, the raw materials are roughly 450,000 gold, Frey said after calculating the total. So much, Rantai was frightened and stuttered again. Shen Xian was a little confused. Isn't it possible that Ilan village doesn't have so much gold reserves? If not, it can be provided for free temporarily. I think Dusk village still has this ability. No, he kept shaking his head, Ilan village has enough gold reserves. This is a dwarf village with 1,000 years of history. There are many treasures left by the ancestors. Lord Hotters has also invested 1.5 million gold, so it is not needed. Shen Xian's eyes lit up. Rantai told him another useful information. With the assistance of Hotters, the Black Dragon, plus the savings of generations, how could Ilan village's gold reserves not be high? According to his guess, the funds are at least 3 million. The average village is about 500,000 at most, but a level 100 Black Dragon has 2 million assets, so this estimate is not exaggerated. Raw materials are the largest trade reached by Rantai, because Ilan village is a village mainly engaged in manufacturing, but finished equipment is not needed by Rantai. Besides, Shen Xian has no ability to supply because he has to supply Zushan and Talange. The next transaction was a finished product transaction. The magic scroll was sold for 60,000 gold, plus a small amount of potions. The trade volume of this part was 80,000. Considering the advantages of Ilan village in forging, Shen Xian also reserved the right to purchase a batch of fine equipment. In this way, if they are sold on the black market, the reputation of Dusk village will spread rapidly to all places. The trade volume is 590,000, which seems huge, but you have to know that these goods will be circulated throughout the Silent Wasteland and face an amazing market. The profit is around 240,000, which is the result after deducting the risk loss. After completing these, Shen Xian opened the territory attribute column and found that the prosperity grew a little faster. It is now about 0.3 points/day. Although this number will continue to decline, it will take at most 2 days in the real world to reach the prosperity 20 required for upgrading. Rantai's goal did not conflict with his. The reason why he wanted to make Ilan village stronger was because he did not want to see Black Iron Town being ruled like a slave by Earl Silman. The lifespan of humans was only 100 years, and perhaps 100 years of slavery would make them completely sink, but the dwarves had 300 years. Those old men with painful memories always hated the dwarves' former status. They might not dominate the world, but they would not become slaves. This was Rantai's simple original intention. It can be imagined that in the future, Alan village will grow rapidly and gradually become a quiet wasteland that can resist Silman's power. As for whether it will betray or cut off trade, Shen Xian thinks it is impossible. His territory is essentially not in conflict with the dwarves. The difference between the dwarves underground and the dwarves on the surface is that their beliefs are not so strong, and there will be no bloody wars. Deep in the dark swamp, the war between sheep and the 9th family of Blood Moon City is coming to an end. The earth is full of scars, and the broken and collapsed rock pillars show a completely destroyed camp. Teams of dark elves are accepting the enslavement of the Blood Clan with a dejected look. The most eye-catching among them is Brawny, the first daughter of the patriarch of the 9th family. An elite NPC of level 88, but she is helpless in front of Sheep's army. She is controlled by a book of eternal order that can absorb blood but not take life. This barrier has the ability to absorb damage. Unless the attack power can reach more than 10,000, it will be imprisoned forever. Brawny, you are really a dangerous person. I heard that you are the next patriarch of the 9th family. If it weren't for someone's entrustment, I really don't want to kill you. After Sheep finished speaking, a large number of dark elf troops walked out of the strange cave full of pools. Strangely, the two sides did not fight. The woman riding a velociraptor in the front giggled and sneered at Brawny in the barrier. My sister, you never thought that I would take away everything you have at this time, your status, your property, now all of these are mine. The woman named Chris laughed and said to Sheep, Sheep, I don't know what you need in return. I don't think there are many things that can move you to capture my sister. Otherwise, how about I offer myself to you? As she said that, she blinked her charming eyes at Sheep. Sheep had no interest in women and was indifferent to her temptation. He said, let's follow the previous agreement. As long as the target's satisfaction drops by 1 point, your sister's body will lose a piece. When you let the satisfaction drop below 50, you will get everything you want. Chris said coquettishly, you are really defensive against me. I really want to see my sister die little by little in front of me, but it's a pity. A system prompt popped up in front of Sheep, the heir of the 9th family. Mission completed, reward experience 1.5 million, reputation 100, friendship of the 9th family of Blood Moon City, and Chris's favor. After reading the prompt, Sheep said, well, how about giving Chris a gift first? Turning to the NPC elite, servant, cut off our Miss Brawny's right hand. The servant who heard the order drew out the sharp scimitar commonly used by the dark elves, walked to Brawny and chopped with the knife. The sharp blade silently penetrated the barrier, and blood splashed out, and Brawny's right hand fell to the ground. The whole process lasted less than 2 seconds, like acting, but it was real. Chris watched this execution with interest, gloating over her sister's accident. This is the world of dark elves, and family affection will never hinder the ambition of power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 169. At 12 noon, Shen Xian entered the country after lunch. Several days passed in the game, and the first batch of goods arrived at Ilan village. As a testimony of friendship, Burning Iron gave back 10 different types of items. As soon as they were placed in the black market store, they were immediately sold out. The highest price even reached 30,000 gold. This has to make people admire the reputation of the dwarf products. Spread far and wide. After half an hour of doing nothing, the territory's liquidity reached 2 million. At this time, Mist Aaron walked into the center of the village and reported that the underground maze was completed. The underground maze contains a total of more than 30,000 small mazes, more than 50,000 traps and a temporary village with a population of 500. This village is hidden deep in the dark passages and is difficult to detect by people who are not familiar with this place. Through the magic tower in the village, the area with a radius of several kilometers is under surveillance. If there is an intruder, he will be there at the first opportunity. Time awareness. There is nothing special about the others, because there is no comparison between this underground maze and the giant maze at the Olsen underground intersection. The difference in scale between the two is more than 10,000 times. Even the corridors of purgatory are incomparable. There are only two layouts that stand out. Trap. The first type of poison gas trap causes 50 damage/second, lasts for 180 seconds, and is contagious. Units within a 5-meter range have a 7% chance of being infected, and the toxicity decreases gradually. The second type of rolling stone mechanism can cause up to 1,500 damage, and an additional 1,800 damage to large units with deceleration and heavy damage negative status. These two methods are very effective in dealing with dark elves, and are cheaper than setting up Warcraft lairs and arrow tower walls, so they are the biggest feature here. In this way, the miracle reaches 21, and only prosperity is left. Order people to transport several materials to the center of the village. Once the conditions are met, they can be upgraded immediately. By the way, the locations of several city walls have been reviewed. As more players upgrade their town centers, the role of siege weapons will become more and more obvious. The only thing that can restrain siege weapons is stronger cities. Consultations following various forums found that after 3 months of operation, the number of players who had upgraded to the town center exceeded 100, and only half of them were true masters, even though the difference between the fourth and third stages was huge. Taking the underground city as an example, in the fourth stage, a large number of high-end buildings can be built, such as city walls, temples, arenas, and exchanges. At the same time, the satisfaction of the territory will receive an additional 3-point bonus, which marks the strengthening of control over the entire territory. Being able to fully gather talents, these benefits are not available in the third stage. However, there are still many masters who are not in a hurry to upgrade. They are constrained by the habit of building complete cities and will not build just for the sake of upgrading. In this way, the upgraded towns will also be deformed and rely heavily on the surrounding territories. This is what masters don't like. No one is willing to let their destiny be controlled by others. Shenxian will not be an exception, which is the reason for the slow upgrade. However, although the upgrade was about to be ready, the Dark Elves did not want to give him such an easy upgrade. When the prosperity reached 18 points, a wave of Dark Elves appeared. Hearing the news, he couldn't believe it at first, because the Moon of Plunder had already ended, and it was time to evacuate and share the fruits of victory. He would never choose this time to attack. What is the purpose of these Dark Elves? He was puzzled. It is said to be a conspiracy, but how can the Dark Elves be so easily deceived? They will never take action if it is not truly valuable. For Shenxian's opponents, he wants to know what they paid for. Standing in the conference hall, there is a row of players at your feet. MK, Shattered Void are standing at the front. These people are the type of people who will not offend others unless they offend me. It can be said that the more players like this in a territory, the more helpful it is for governance. As for Zhu Qingtian hiding behind, I believe most players will not like it. Somehow, he was only level 34 when he was level 50 a few days ago. When Shenxian saw Yul, he secretly wanted to call Ant Bing to die. I asked him 5 times, but he still exceeded the quota. Unexpectedly, Zhu Qingtian enjoyed a sacrificial feast that ordinary players could not enjoy. After the gathering was completed, Miss Xiao announced the battle status as usual. The opponent is a total of 1,000 elites. Don't underestimate them. If the previous AI evaluation was medium, this time it can be good. Almost all of them are veterans who have withstood the test of war. Their quality is amazing. They are immune to a large number of low-level negative conditions. They are proficient in if we fight alone and let such a group of people sneak into the territory, We will face a crisis. She is right. Just imagine the impact of letting a group of special forces who have experienced numerous life and death situations sneak into the heart of the country. This is similar to the current situation. They will face never-ending destruction, killing and harassment. Even if they can eliminate dozens of people, they will not be able to annihilate them all. They will take root everywhere like Xiaoqiang, and they can only gather together and catch them all. However, it is difficult for the cunning dark elves to make them die voluntarily. They will see through the plots of ordinary people at a glance. This is the biggest problem. Miss Xiao continued, the last time they appeared in the south, they took away a cargo worth 60,000 gold. Because it was supplied to Talinger and it was within the jurisdiction, we are fully responsible for the loss of this cargo. For the losses of the joint operation of the territory, the alliance adopts the method of sharing the losses, because there is also a share of the profits, and this approach is not too controversial. Even a studio like 3P can exchange for a salary of about 3,000 RMB, and even players like MK who spend more than 50,000 RMB per month can save thousands of dollars. Now it is just a matter of exchanging from reality to virtuality, which is the reverse of reality to virtuality. The players still had a little controversy for a while. Who would have expected that the Dark Elves would make trouble at this juncture? This is not a simple matter for Shenxian, but also for them. Because of the agreement, they can only upgrade after Shenxian upgrades the town center to expand the territory. Even now, it is okay, but there is no more than 5 times the resource production of the main territory. It takes dozens of days of real time to accumulate these resources. They are waiting for Shenxian to upgrade, preferably to the city center, and preferably to be conferred a duke. Then, as the first batch of veterans of the alliance, they will get some extra treatment and can easily obtain titles and resources. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 170. Arguments are arguments, and the purpose of convening the players is not only to announce the battle situation and tasks, but also to brainstorm ideas. A wise man will always make mistakes. No matter how high his game level is, he still needs help from others. This is not an age of heroes. He who is good at finding useful ideas among players can be one step ahead. Ms. Xiao later issued 2 tasks. The first one, to detect the target of the Dark Elves, rewarded 750,000 experience points, the second one, to maintain the safety and circulation of the caravan, rewarded 220,000 experience points, and contributed 1,000. These 2 tasks. The task was quickly divided among the players below, and then these players were given a while to talk and digest the relevant information. After 5 minutes, the sound gradually became softer. When it was almost done, she cleared her throat and said, "Then, let's continue the discussion." The next topic was how to find these dark elves and catch them all. Judging from the information available, 90% of the dark elves entrenched in the underground layer have evacuated. Only this army is fighting alone. This army is bloody. It is not known who belongs to the 7th family of Yuetian. Such elites must belong to the top figures in the family. A prisoner was brought up, in a state of red blood, and he was the only dark elf captured alive. Under the scolding of the cross swordsman, he slowly woke up and faced a faint red curse light. Beads of sweat oozed from his forehead in unbearable pain. Mist Aaron manipulated the exquisite magic thread to control his mind. Although it only lasted for 1 minute, it was enough to ask for a lot of useful information. Who are you? Tester, the 7th family of Blood Moon City, is Lady Chris's personal attendant. Who is Chrissy? The future mother of the 7th family, the mother's second daughter. What's your purpose here? Plunder a legendary treasure. Do you know the details? It is said that this rare treasure is the mushroom umbrella left behind by the caveman kingdom. It can increase the food production of the territory by 30%, increase the territory's satisfaction by 5, Miracle 1, and will regularly produce various types of mushroom seeds, dig tunnels, and many other unknown things. Property. When they heard this, everyone was shocked and started talking about whether there was such a treasure in the territory. In the end, they turned their attention to Shenxian, because in their eyes, he was the only one who could have it. However, Shenxian shook his head. There is no such treasure in the territory. If there is this mushroom umbrella, the trade with Ilan village will definitely include food. Is anyone familiar with the legend of Dusk Hills? Dark elves have always been crafty. Maybe it's a cover-up from legend. Immediately, players who read the book Myths and Legends of Dusk Hills said that they had heard of this legend. Everyone started talking again. This statement was indeed possible, but it was not certain yet. Everyone, please be quiet and let us finish the interrogation. Prisoners are not easy to capture, Miss Xiao shouted and said to Miss Lin, go on and ask him if this information is uncertain. Mr. Reen's eyes gleamed with fear, and Test's body became weak for a while, and he replied expressionlessly, I maintain the closest relationship with Lady Chris, so how can there be any mistakes in what she said personally? The dark elf rejected the statement outright. No more useful information was obtained from his mouth, and the dark elf fell limply to the ground. Then the interrogation was completed, several cross swordsmen dragged him to the cell, and the meeting continued. It seems that the target of the dark elves is still uncertain. In fact, 9 out of 10 words spoken by the dark elves are often false. Everyone also knows that we are currently in a critical period of upgrading. When the upgrade progress reaches 0% and 100%, the system will judge the territory's population, satisfaction, and other related data. If it reaches 100%, if it does not meet the requirements, the upgrade will still fail. And lose all your investment and 5% of your reputation. If it fails, upgrading the town center to at least 1000 will be delayed, and no one wants to see this. After saying that, the players below began to express their opinions. Isn't it possible to trace the target of this group of dark elves from the source? There is a conflict of interest between Twilight Village and the nobles like Skirman and Neisel who control the surrounding trade. Maybe they are the masterminds? Maybe they want to destroy our production. This makes sense. From the beginning of the previous regional mission, the lords in these areas rarely assisted us, and then the number of dark elves in the Dusk Hills increased. These problems can be seen. Just how to defend ourselves. Even if we find these nobles, they will only laugh at our incompetence and will not provide any help. Assuming that they are not really looking for equipment, how can we lure them away? War does not meet our needs. Just know the conditions originally offered, and if you give them a more generous temptation, they will leave. But how do you know these private agreements? The discussion among the players was very lively, and Shen Xian listened carefully, but there were not many constructive opinions. At this time, a piece of latest information was sent from afar. The situation is very bad, Miss Xiao sighed after seeing the information. Yeah, but don't you see anything? Could it be that this intelligence can reveal their target? To be precise, it confirms my guess. Shen Xian paused and began to explain, because the dark elves plundering treasures and destroying them require 2 different sets of responses. If they are plundering, the treasures can be given to them at most, but if they are destroying, they must find another way. The destruction from the previous time was not visible because 60,000 gold, dozens of civilians familiar with Dusk Hills and 1 point of satisfaction were lost, but look at this. Quietly pointing to the information revealed between the lines. This time they have targeted the central part of the country that is rich in mithril mines. It is a wasteland and has nothing to do with the mushroom umbrella. However, look at the loss of 2,172 units of mithril, 1 point of satisfaction, and satisfaction again. Because the non-stop war satisfaction has dropped to asterisk, if it continues like this, it will definitely not meet the upgrade conditions. As for the other items, population, prosperity, and miracles, these items will generally not decrease. At this point, Miss Yao blinked her watery eyes and said, "Well, even if you know this, how should you deal with it?" The two were whispering, and the players a few meters away were also discussing. After 5 minutes, an unexpected third piece of information was sent over, making the situation gradually clearer.